So I'd just like to start for a second just talking about organization of your agenda. Because you knew that you were going to end the meeting early tonight. You knew students were here to give presentations, but everything, we repeat this time and time again like Groundhog Day, where we're sitting here changing the agenda on the fly instead of just making an agenda that works for these meetings to cut down on all this time talking amongst each other when other people want to speak here. So, you heard loud and clear from these people. I've been saying this for almost 2 years now about how people feel, and I don't think administrators or the board believe me, but now they're here. When I came up and talked, and when Debbie came up and talked, and a few other handful of people there, we were like the Charlie Brown teacher, no one listening to us. Well, guess what? They're here, and they want to be listened to now. I am really hoping the superintendent hears this message. I am really hoping the cabinet hears this message. I am really hoping all of the district's bargaining team hears this message. And the Board of Education, you guide the superintendent. You tell him what to do. He is your employee, and I hope you hear this. We are not going to settle for 2%. We are not going to settle for less than the COLA. We are not going to add days to our calendar. We've made this clear. But instead, you're holding the entire staff and the community hostage over a calendar. We've been down this road before. Didn't we learn the lesson last year when board members decided to grandstand and not approve a calendar that was already agreed upon by everyone? And then had to send this thing into bargaining? Didn't we learn that lesson last year? Yet here we are again, it's almost May, and we don't have a calendar. The community is frustrated, and the staff is frustrated. And the superintendent has clearly said he is being pressured into adding these days. Who is pressuring him? Because he said that on numerous occasions that he is being pressured to add these days. And we would like to know, where is that pressure coming from? Because we've made it loud and clear tonight and at bargaining that we're not going to accept this. We want professional development. I have said how we can do that numerous times to the negotiating team and directly to the superintendent. I have made suggestions saying that we currently have 10 PD days that we can use. And when the superintendent said, well, I can't piecemeal this training, I said, well, let's take 4 days and put them together on Wednesdays for an entire month. And the staff, we'll have to wait a little bit on our meeting free time, but the superintendent said, I can't piecemeal it. And then that went away. Then I said, well, let's use the 3 days we have in August. We can take a half day each day. We do not need to have a welcome back day. We just don't need it. We do not need that day, period. Most of our staff sees it as a complete waste of time. We don't need it. We instead could have 3 solid morning trainings from 8:30 to 11:30 each morning, and then allow the sites to have PLC and the staff opportunity. Mr. Tran said, I need a 2+1 model, 2 hours of training plus 1 hour for the teachers to absorb it and meet with their teams. That fits that model. And then Mr. Tran told me, he said, well, really, I can't front load all the staff with this. We need some days later. So I said, well, why don't we just have 2 days in August and take 1 day and move it to later in the year. Plus we have a January later in the year. So we have 2 days after August that we can do that training, plus the 10 PD days. We have offered suggestion after suggestion after suggestion and keep coming back with the same thing. We want to add to your calendar, and that's just not acceptable. And it's time for the board to tell the superintendent that this is enough. We need a calendar. It's almost May. And there's all kinds of logistical things. We have to put it on an agenda. We might not get a calendar approved until mid-May right now if we settle on a calendar. This is ridiculous how long this is dragged on. We surveyed our members in January. We presented a calendar to the district based on that. The district did not. The district didn't survey community members until almost, I think it was like March, right before spring break. And now we're in April and we're still no closer than we were before. Why is this taking so long? Why are we holding everyone hostage over a calendar? As for compensation, we've been told time and time again, well, if you want the COLA, the district simply can't afford it. We'll be deficit spending. This was stated by the Assistant Superintendent of Business Services, that giving us the COLA would cause us to maybe start deficit spending next year and definitely the year out. That it would be so bad that we might not even be able to get a budget approved by LACO. So let's take a look at why we're deficit spending. Many people talked about New Earth today. $600,000 this year, $1.5 million next year. $1.5 million is equivalent to a 2% raise from staff. And I don't want to hear where it's coming from because that's being paid out of Measure K right now, out of the general fund. And that could certainly go to staff. So there's 2 plus 2. Now you're up to 4 already. How many district administrators have we hired since the 2019 staffing audit said that we were overstaffed? We've added an assistant superintendent. We've added 2 coordinators. We've added 2 directors. We've taken a coordinator that was part-time and moved it to full-time. What cost was that to the district? But here you tell the staff, especially some of our lowest paid staff, we can't even give them the 3 salary range bump that they were promised last year. These are our most vulnerable staff. Why are we spending money tonight? Why is there an action item tonight to hire an attorney from Steve Andelson's law firm to be in charge of what's known as real property negotiations? That's on tonight's agenda. There is money, and how much are we going to be paying Andelson's law firm for that? But we can't afford to pay our staff what we want. What is real property? We're still playing Brookwood. Even though the staff has very clearly said, we're not interested in this, and certainly they haven't been surveyed. We were promised when Brookwood came in, and that was one of the things Steve Levin said, and why he agreed to that in the end, is we would do real research, and they would research how they could make money for the district. But when Brookwood met with the labor partners, they had nothing for us, not one thing. They could not tell us about any properties. They could not tell us in any way how they would make the district money. We asked for a second meeting with Brookwood and still haven't gotten it. And what's that, Debbie, about a month and a half now?
Oh, yeah, at least.
At least. There's been no effort to outreach to the staff in general. So why is this happening? Why do these things continue to happen is what I'm asking. Why do I have to come up here? Why do we have to have teachers come here and sit here till 9:30 at night asking for what we deserve? Pay us what we deserve. Give us the calendar that we've asked for. The COLA, the cost of living adjustment, is which the district is going to see an increase in their LCFF funding is at a record high, 8.1%. Last year, the COLA was around 6% initially. We settled for about 5%. We got a lot of money toward benefits. But this year, they're offering us less than they offered last year, with a record COLA. And we just don't understand that. And the staff, frankly, is just fed up. You saw it today. You saw the rally out in front of City Hall. You saw the social media. You saw the Red for Ed Day, 2 of them now. And the community is showing their support for the teachers, the staff, the counselors, the nurses, the program specialists, and everyone else that we represent. Our classified staff are underpaid. Our nurses are underpaid. Our counselors are underpaid and understaffed. Our nurses are understaffed, big time. We're down to 2 nurses because we've done nothing to improve conditions for our nurses. And now we're down to 2. Why is that? Why are we making these same mistakes and nothing is changing? And that's the most frustrating thing about this. absolutely nothing is changing. And I want the board to hear this, and I want the superintendent to hear this, and I want the cabinet to hear this. We are fed up. It's time for us to be paid what we deserve to be paid and a calendar that we deserve. A calendar, by the way, that matched our results. So the community survey actually matched the staff survey as well, too. Just like we had predicted that it would. Deficit spending, money on New Earth, it's time now. You can take action right now by canceling that contract. You can absolutely cancel that contract right now and save this district $1.5 million for next year. But time's running out to do that. I also want to take the rest of my comments to address Culver Park, as that's not on there. I was on the Culver Park committee as well. I can say we clearly did not have a consensus yet on our plan for Culver Park, and certainly discussions about putting an online element to it. I can tell you that all the teachers on that are not in favor of that. It is a shame what this district did to our continuation school. Yes, there were cosmetic issues with Culver Park, where it was located. It wasn't the prettiest building in the world. It had fences all around it. But the district also chose to dump it into the middle of a parking lot. So what do you expect? It's time for us to take our continuation schools seriously. We have students that need it. We have many students that are credit deficient. And that's the kind of solution that will help fix it. I've been here 18 years, and I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen morale like this. I've never seen people having to rally like this. This should be a sign to everyone in administration on the board that things need to change. Thank you.